It is said that alphas don't act like normal people during their susceptible periods. Fortunately, Oliver is rather gentle. Since we got married, he hasn't made me suffer much during each of his susceptible periods. After helping me clean up, he went back to the bathroom again. I turned over and got out of bed, then skillfully opened the bottom drawer of the cabinet, dug out the pills and swallowed them. Although Oliver has been very gentle these few times, he has always been forgetting to take precautions recently. Just in case, I took the pills anyway. After all, Oliver doesn't like children, so it's better not to cause any trouble. What are you taking? My hand trembled. Subconsciously, I put the pills back and closed the cabinet by the way. Meeting Oliver's calm eyes, I felt a pang of guilt for no reason. Just vitamin C. Oliver nodded, carried me back to the bed and hugged me casually. The mint-scented pheromones surrounded me. He held me very tightly and rubbed my neck unconsciously. I know that alphas during their susceptible periods are very sensitive and have high demands. As a qualified marriage partner by arranged marriage, it's necessary for me to care about my alpha. I turned back to face him directly and took the initiative to lean forward and kissed him. Do you want it? I can still manage. Oliver's eyes instantly darkened, but he still restrained himself and closed his eyes. He hugged me even tighter and said, "Let's rest, Ku." I was deflated, feeling a sense of regret in my heart for no reason. It has been a year since we got married. Except during his susceptible period, he rarely touches me. Even during his susceptible period, he won't have any excessive demands. Sometimes I even think that maybe I'm not charming enough. If it weren't for his susceptible period, maybe he wouldn't even need my help. But I can't say anything. After all, I'm just a pawn in this marriage alliance. I fell asleep peacefully. Early the next morning, I felt Oliver kissing me on the face. This is his little habit during his susceptible period. I was still a bit sleepy. I turned around to face away from him and bent my neck to expose my gland. Bite. Actually, I thought he probably wouldn't bite. Oliver is just so restrained, so I fell asleep again without worry. But the feeling of my gland being pierced made me open my eyes wide instantly. The minty pheromones enveloped me, and a warm current flowed from the gland to my whole body. My hands clenched unconsciously, and my fingernails dug into my palms. Oliver gently pried open my fingers one by one and intertwined his fingers with mine. By the time his teeth left my gland, I still hadn't recovered. What's worse, both Oliver and I were aroused. Shaokua, I'm feeling uncomfortable. Oliver seldom says he feels bad during his susceptible period. If he can be so outspoken like this, it must be unbearable for him. I pressed myself against him, with the smell of lemon mingling with that of mint. The minty smell was strongly encroaching on the fragrance of lemon. Afterwards, Oliver took the clothes I had taken off to wash. I looked at the clothes in his hand uneasily. Actually, you don't need to go to the trouble. Oliver calmly scrubbed my clothes, with his expression unchanged. It's better to wash underclothes by hand. I blushed at his words and quickly left the bathroom. As usual, I walked to the bedside, took out the medicine and was about to swallow it. No sooner had the medicine entered my mouth than Oliver's hand reached out from behind. He snatched the remaining medicine in my hand. Desogestrel. Benjamin, what kind of medicine is this? Didn't you say it was vitamin C before? I nervously picked at my fingers. With the pill still in my mouth and just as I was about to swallow it, Oliver directly reached in and pried the pill out. I quickly explained, I haven't taken proper precautions recently. I'm afraid that. I didn't dare to continue speaking, because Oliver's eyes now were terrifyingly dark. For such a long time, I've never seen him show such an expression in his eyes. Although I don't think taking medicine is a big deal, it's better not to annoy him right now. I lowered my head, not daring to look at him, and didn't even know what I was feeling guilty about. Oliver casually threw the medicine into the trash can beside him and took away all the medicine in the cabinet by the way. Don't take this medicine too often. It's not good for your health. After saying that, Oliver left the bedroom. I quickly called out to him. Your susceptible period. Oliver didn't turn his head back and only left a sentence. I've brought the inhibitor. I sat blankly on the edge of the bed, not knowing why Oliver suddenly got angry. It would be the worst if we accidentally had a baby. I'm not sure, but I still think coaxing him is the best choice. I took out my phone and sent him a message. Oliver, have you gone to the company? I'll pick you up from work today. I'll bring you lunch. Oliver didn't reply. He seldom ignores my messages. I was a little anxious. If it were at the beginning of our marriage, I definitely wouldn't dare to continue sending messages to disturb him. But he has been very tolerant of me in this past year, so I've become a bit bolder. Oliver, please respond to me. I'm feeling bad. Oliver's call came through immediately. The corners of my mouth instantly lifted up. Where are you not feeling well? Was I too rough this morning? Before I could say anything, Oliver continued, I'll come back and take you to the hospital to have a look. I quickly interrupted him, saying no need. I won't feel bad if you just respond to me. Oliver on the other end of the line was silent. After a long while, he finally spoke. It's no use being coquettish. I knew that he actually wasn't angry anymore. I'll make lunch for you and bring it over. Okay, Dadu. I happily curved the corners of my mouth and went to prepare the ingredients after hanging up the phone. As for those medicines, I can just buy them later. Oliver was only angry because he was worried about my health. Just remind him to take precautions in the future. I didn't go back after going to Oliver's company at noon, because today I'm going to have dinner with Oliver at his parents' house. As soon as we entered the door, Oliver's mother, Isabella, had already poked her head out to look over. Upon seeing me, she happily walked over, took my hand and led me to sit on the sofa. Xiaoka is here. Mom has missed you so much. Even though it has been a year since the marriage, I still don't know how to handle Oliver's mother's enthusiasm. Clearly, Oliver and I are just in a business marriage. But Isabella doesn't seem to treat me like an ordinary marriage partner at all. She is very affectionate towards me every time she sees me, which also makes me relax and not be so reserved. I think you look great recently. You are much better than when you just got married to Oliver. I responded to her words with a faint smile. I showed my agreement to her words. Actually, even if it is a business marriage, I am also very grateful to them. Although I don't know what the Chen family has that attracted them. This marriage has saved me from a difficult situation. If it weren't for the Shang family, perhaps I would have been sold to someone else by my father already. It was Oliver who took the initiative to come to me and took me away in such a decent way as a marriage alliance. During the initial period, I was always ill. I was hospitalized frequently. It was Oliver who took care of me for a year and nursed me back to health. Isabella also specially boiled Chinese herbal medicine and urged me to drink it. So anyway, I respect them very much. Isabella pinched my arm and then pinched my face. I obediently lowered my head, and Isabella rubbed my head. Good health is the most important thing. When I was in poor health, I almost had an accident when giving birth to Oliver. Speaking of this, Isabella looked at me with a smile. Speaking of this, when can you two have a big fat baby? I was stunned for a moment and subconsciously looked at Oliver. He had no expression. Then I remembered that he didn't like children. But since Isabella had said that, I was afraid that he would be in a difficult situation. So I took the initiative to speak. Mom, we are still young. Let's just let things happen naturally regarding this kind of thing. Isabella patted my hand and said, Yes, I was just saying it casually. Don't take it to heart. I nodded while stealing glances at Oliver. I wasn't sure if it was an illusion, but I felt that Oliver's complexion had become even worse. Pursed my lips. Sure enough, the topic of children would make him unhappy. After having dinner, I sat and chatted with my parents for a while, and then I went home with Oliver. It's just that he was unusually clingy today, different from before. I could hardly handle it. I gasped and asked him, What's wrong with you today? Oliver didn't respond to me. He just bowed his head and kissed me. I tried my best to cooperate with his actions. It's just that he didn't take any precautions again today. And I didn't remind him either. He was in a bad mood. Let him do whatever makes him comfortable. It's just that the pills were thrown away by Oliver. Skipping one dose shouldn't be a big deal, right? One shouldn't take chances. I was looking at the pregnancy test report in my hand. I was a little flustered in my heart. How could I have gotten pregnant just like that? I nervously clutched the report, not knowing what to do. My mind was in chaos for a while, and finally I decided to have an abortion. 2 to 8 weeks after pregnancy is the most suitable time. I have made an appointment for the operation a month later. The doctor, seeing that I was alone, kindly reminded me, Where is your alpha? It's best to discuss this kind of thing between two people. I shook my head. I still insisted on making the appointment for the operation. We have discussed it, and he doesn't like children. After leaving the hospital, I was still a bit distracted. From time to time, I stroked my flat stomach with my hand. It's hard to believe that a life is already being conceived in there. Subconsciously, a sense of sweetness welled up in my heart. This is the child of Oliver and me. If Oliver liked children, he would be the best father. But I'm sorry, it was my carelessness that made you come here for nothing. I was lost in thought when Oliver's call came. Xiaokua, is the activity over? I'll come to pick you up and take you home. Holding the report, I subconsciously refused. No need. I'm already on my way home. Oliver on the other end of the phone was silent for 2 seconds. What's the matter? Are you in a bad mood? I don't know how he could tell that I was in a bad mood from my plain words, but I don't want him to worry, nor do I want him to know about this pregnancy. I'm fine. I'm just a little tired. Oliver didn't ask any more questions. He just told me to be more careful. Before entering the door, I carefully put the report sheet and the surgery appointment sheet back into my bag. After adjusting my mood, I opened the door and went in. Oliver was sitting on the sofa and waved to me. I walked over and was pulled by him to sit on his lap. He kissed me and said, "What's the matter, baby?" Oliver would only call me baby when he was coaxing me. I couldn't help but smile. Was I being that obvious? It's nothing. Really. I lay on Oliver's shoulder, emptying my mind. I don't want to think about it anymore. It gives me a headache just to think about it. He touched my head and just let me lean on him like this. After getting along for a year, I can actually sense that Oliver should have a crush on me. Although the two of us skipped the dating stage and got married directly. But after a year of getting along, I have truly fallen in love with Oliver. But I'm not sure whether Oliver's feelings for me are out of responsibility or out of love. I don't dare to ask either. Asking too much isn't a good thing. But if he likes me, would he be able to accept the child as well? What are you thinking about? I blinked my eyes and casually changed the topic. Your susceptible period is coming soon. Oliver's susceptible period is coming soon. But I'm a bit anxious. There's a life in my belly and I dare not act recklessly. But I don't know how to explain it to Oliver. Without my comfort, Oliver will be in great pain. I unconsciously touched my belly. Oliver leaned over and hugged me, saying, "Why have you been touching your belly lately? Is your belly uncomfortable?" I subconsciously withdrew my hand. Instead, Oliver reached out and slid his hand under my clothes from the hem. His warm palm pressed against my belly and rubbed it gently. I held his hand down. This feeling was really strange. Oliver smiled and said, "Finally you've gained some weight on your belly. I've been taking care of you for so long." I lowered my head and looked at his hand that had reached in, and my mood was rather delicate. It could be regarded as saying hello to the baby too. Thinking about it, I couldn't help smiling, but when I looked at Oliver's eyes again, I immediately lost my smile. I was so familiar with this look. Oliver didn't even bother to hide it. He laid me down on the sofa and kissed me passionately, until the mint pheromone diffused. I suddenly realized that something was wrong. Oliver's susceptible period came earlier than expected. I suddenly felt scared when my thighs got cold. I pushed Oliver and said, "No." Oliver frowned and carried me to the room. "Not here? Then let's go back to the room." I was still pushing him when I was lying on the bed. No matter how much Oliver restrained himself, he wouldn't allow me to reject him at such a time. He bit my gland and injected pheromone. My body went limp and I had little strength to push him away. But my reason told me that I couldn't act recklessly. "Oliver. No, please. I'm not in good health. The doctor said it's not allowed." Oliver stopped moving. He touched my face. He turned over to get the inhibitor from the cabinet and jabbed it in suddenly. "Don't cry. You go out first." Looking at Oliver's distressed appearance, a sense of guilt welled up in my heart instantly. Oliver touched my head and pushed me out. Even through the door, I could imagine how uncomfortable Oliver was, because I had witnessed with my own eyes how he lost control during his susceptible period. When we had just got married, Oliver locked himself in the room every time during his susceptible period. No matter how I promised that I could bear it, he just ignored me. It was not until I got better physically that Oliver was relieved to let me help him get through the susceptible period. After a long time, I found that Oliver had already unlocked the door. I quickly pushed the door open and went in. At a glance, I didn't see Oliver. There was a pile of clothes on the bed. They were all mine. Oliver was huddled in the pile of my clothes. Motionless, I quickly pushed aside the pile of clothes, but was grabbed in by Oliver. He held me in his arms, his teeth gently rubbing against my glands. "I'm sorry." Oliver's voice was hoarse. "Why are you saying sorry?" I didn't know how to start. Oliver moved and took out 2 reports. "Is it because of this? You're pregnant." Only then did I notice that my bag on the bed had been opened. It should have been when Oliver was nesting just now that he came across my pregnancy test report. My face turned pale instantly, and I reached out to take the report. My heart also went cold along with it. The fact that I'm pregnant has been known by Oliver. Will he divorce me? I shivered and quickly explained, "I'm sorry. It's my fault. But don't worry. I've already made an appointment for the operation. I'll handle it well." As soon as I finished speaking, Oliver's eyes became red. If you listen carefully, his voice was a little shaky when he was speaking. "Do you really not want the baby so much? You just want to get rid of our child like this?" I was stunned. Isn't it him who doesn't want the child? Now I finally realized that there might be some misunderstandings in our perceptions. "What?" But obviously Oliver didn't want to talk to me at the moment. He grabbed his clothes and ran out of the house. He left in such a hurry that I couldn't catch up with him. He didn't answer the phone calls and didn't reply to the messages either. Besides, he is still in his susceptible period. I'm almost worried to death. Oliver didn't come home until night. I had no choice but to call his parents. Oliver? No, he hasn't come home. What's wrong? Ku? Did you two have a quarrel? I couldn't find him anywhere and couldn't get in touch with him either. I was really worried and my voice was even choked with sobs. When Isabella on the other end of the phone heard that I was crying, her voice suddenly rose. I heard a knock on the door from the other side of the phone. Oliver, you little brat. Didn't you say it was no big deal? What have you done to wrong someone? Little Ku is crying. Little Ku was the one you begged to marry back then. It's only been a year and you've made her this angry. Get out here right now. It wasn't long before someone else took the phone on the other end. Oliver's deep voice came through the phone. What's wrong? I steadied my breath. I decided that we should still have a good face-to-face talk. I'll come and pick you up to go home. No, I won't go back. Oliver refused very straightforwardly. I felt a pang in my heart, but I was still worried about his susceptible period. You're still in your susceptible period. Oliver interrupted me. I've brought inhibitors. I had nothing to say and didn't dare to say anything either. Both sides were quiet. I was reluctant to hang up the phone. Only when I heard his voice would I feel a bit more at ease. Instead, Oliver was the first to speak. Don't you have anything to say to me? I subconsciously thought of that pregnancy test report, the trigger for this conflict. In the silent few seconds, he had already hung up the phone. Listening to the busy tone on the mobile phone, I slumped dejectedly on the sofa, not knowing what to do. What on earth does Oliver mean? After all, it's true that he doesn't like children. Or is he angry that I hid the fact of my pregnancy from him? I stroked my belly unconsciously. Didn't everything already get better? How did I manage to mess it up again? I grabbed the car keys and still decided to go and find him. Oliver seemed to know what I was thinking and only sent a single message. Don't come to pick me up. I'm not leaving. Oliver is just like a sulking child who turns to his parents when he feels aggrieved. Regrettably, the parents don't side with him at all. Once the susceptible period was over, Isabella couldn't bear it anymore. She directly drove Oliver out of the house and forbade him to return until he sorted things out. After Oliver returned home, he was no different from before and was still gentle and considerate, but he would always stare blankly at my belly in a daze. Moreover, every time I brought up the topic of the child, he would awkwardly avoid it. Even Oliver's parents had noticed the strange atmosphere between the two of us. During another family dinner, Father Shang called Oliver to the study to talk about something. Isabella pulled me to sit on the sofa and chat casually. She held my hand gently, with a gentle tone. Xiaokua, has Oliver made you feel wronged? I noticed that you don't look so well recently. I shook my head and said, no. He's been very nice to me. Isabella glanced sideways slightly and patted my hand neither too lightly nor too heavily. She told me to relax and not be nervous. Mom doesn't want to interfere in the affairs of you young people. But you are all my children, and I still hope that you can all be well. I can also see that you two have developed feelings for each other this year. But if you're not living well, don't be afraid to speak up. I was a bit at a loss whether to laugh or cry. How could it even be associated with an unhappy marriage? I quickly explained, no, we're fine. Moreover, I like Oliver very much too. Isabella's eyes were bright. There was a bit of relief on her face. That's good. Oliver likes you very much too. He insisted on marrying you back then. I didn't know that. It's not strange to have a business marriage with the Chin family, but it's strange that he insisted on marrying me. After all, the Chin family didn't actually have much value back then, but I never thought that our marriage would be the result of Oliver's request. He requested it. Isabella was stunned. She didn't expect me to react so strongly. Didn't that kid tell you? He liked you even before getting married. Unexpectedly, after a year, he hasn't told you anything about himself. Upon learning this news, I instantly felt on pins and needles. I had always thought that my union with him was just a business arrangement and that our feelings grew over time. But I never expected that he had known about me and liked me long ago. So did he see my wretched state back then? Back then, I was forced by my father to meet those business partners and was made to drink with them until I vomited. And there were those sticky gazes that couldn't be ignored. I wasn't even worthy of being a candidate for an arranged marriage. I was just treated as a plaything. My father didn't care about me as his son. He only wanted to use me to gain benefits. So, Mom thinks that if there are misunderstandings between you two, you should resolve them promptly. Feelings can't withstand delay. I licked my lips and said, Mom, it's not a problem with our feelings. Then what is it? Isabella was a bit puzzled now. Did he go bankrupt? That shouldn't be the case. Isabella's train of thought was jumping around too much. After knowing that Oliver had liked me for a long time, an idea uncontrollably popped into my mind. Would he, because he liked me, also like our child a little bit? Mom, I'll handle this well. Don't worry. On the way home, I peeked at Oliver several times secretly. I opened my mouth several times but still didn't dare to ask. Instead, Oliver himself noticed it. He reached out and pinched my ear while waiting for the red light. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? I caught sight of the ring on his hand at once. He had hardly taken it off since he put it on. Suddenly, I relaxed. Oliver, I don't think I've ever told you that I love you. Oliver suddenly turned his head to look at me. I pointed at the traffic light and said, it's about to turn green. With no other choice, Oliver had to focus on driving. But I couldn't ignore his tightly pursed lips and the veins popping out on his hands. After parking the car, Oliver didn't even wait to get home. He directly unbuckled my seatbelt and lifted me onto his lap. What did you just say? Say it again. I cupped his face and rubbed the tip of my nose against his. Then I kissed his lips gently. I said I love you. As soon as I finished speaking, I was pushed back again. He held onto my mouth and bit it, invading it little by little. Even though the kiss was intense, Oliver still held my waist, making sure not to press against my stomach. During a moment of catching our breath, I leaned close to his ear and asked him quietly, you like me, right? You've liked me for a long time. Oliver's voice was muffled as he said, yes, with a bit of confidence in his heart. I hesitated for quite a while before continuing to speak. That child. Oliver's eyes suddenly turned red. He turned his face away and tightened his grip on my waist. You can do whatever you want. I just think that you should tell me if you have any problems in the future. Don't keep it from me. After all, it's our child. I continued what I hadn't finished saying. Can that child also like me a little bit? As soon as these words came out, Oliver's eyes became even redder. Who doesn't like our child? If you don't want it, you should at least tell me. How could you just abandon it without saying a word? And even if you don't want it, how could I let you go through the surgery alone without anyone by your side? I was dumbfounded and couldn't say a word for a long time. Seeing that I didn't speak, Oliver was both anxious and angry. I'll accompany you on the day of the surgery. Who do you think doesn't want the child? Me? I poked Oliver and said in a muffled voice, don't you dislike children? Watching Oliver's gaze change from confusion to shock and finally to annoyance, he pinched my cheek a bit harder. I dislike children? I can't wait to have a child with you. Where did you hear that I dislike children? I shrank my neck and suddenly lost my confidence. Oliver really never personally said that he didn't like children or didn't want children. It was just that in the few months after getting married, I accidentally overheard him chatting with his friends. Probably they were talking about the topic of children. He frowned and said, we can't have children. Since then, I have thought that Oliver didn't like children and didn't want to have children with me either. Moreover, the two of them were only in a business marriage alliance, and perhaps it would end someday. Oliver felt as if he was going to break into pieces. He wore a woeful expression on his face. Xiao, our child almost didn't make it. It turned out that when Oliver said we can't have children before, it was because he and his friend were talking about the topic of children. His friend asked him when he planned to have children, but I was always getting sick at that time, and my health was also very poor. Oliver didn't want me to get hurt at all. He thought that this kind of thing should be considered in the future. Oliver looked at me with his red eyes, full of hidden bitterness in his eyes. You were in such poor health at that time. I didn't even dare to touch you during my susceptible period, let alone consider having children. I pursed my lips and didn't say a word. Oliver rubbed my cheek with his thumb. I don't blame you. It was because I didn't give you enough sense of security that made you think so much. He slowly lowered his head and leaned on my stomach. Finally, he looked up at me again. The baby kicked me. I was a bit helpless and pushed his head away. How big is the baby now? What nonsense are you talking about? Having stayed in the car for a long time, I urged him to go home quickly. He was extremely excited this night, and the gloominess from the previous period disappeared completely. I patted him who was still being rowdy. It's time to go to sleep. It's already very late. Oliver was facing me, with his hands inside the quilt tightly holding mine. I let him be and stopped bothering about him. Since I got pregnant, I have been rather sleepy. I also wake up relatively late in the morning. It's rare that I woke up a bit earlier today, and Oliver was already out of sight beside me. I got out of bed to wash up, and when I was approaching the bathroom, I heard the gasps coming from inside. I immediately realized what Oliver was doing. Come to think of it carefully, Oliver hasn't touched me since I got pregnant, but everyone has desires. I turned the doorknob and pushed the door open, meeting Oliver's eyes full of lust. Xiao. Oliver awkwardly turned his head away and started to tidy himself up. I walked over and pressed his hand, saying, let me help you. Oliver didn't let me move. Don't act recklessly. I'm okay. I crouched down, ignoring his refusal. It's okay to help you like this too. Oliver looked down at me with lowered eyebrows and no longer refused. Oliver had a bit of chagrin on his face. Don't do this in the future. I shook my head with a smile in my eyes. It's okay. I'm willing to do it. I just watched his ear tips getting redder and redder. Oliver seldom felt embarrassed. Most of the time, he always looked completely at ease in front of me. I found it quite novel. Since I made my feelings clear, I've discovered many different aspects of him. It's very interesting and also really cute. I kissed the corner of his mouth. You can tell me if you have any problems in the future. Don't hold it in. Oliver couldn't take it anymore and rubbed his face vigorously. Stop it, Kuchun. I dropped a bombshell. Don't be shy, honey. Then I walked out of the bathroom cheerfully, ignoring Oliver, who was almost exploding on the spot. Oliver's parents soon knew about the pregnancy. As careful as Isabella was, she quickly guessed that the reason we had a tiff before was because of the baby. As soon as she got home, she grabbed Oliver by the ear. Is it you, young man? Who doesn't want the baby, right? Oliver was pushing Isabella's hand away while crying out in pain. It really pained me to see that. I quickly went up to smooth things over. Mom, you've got it wrong. Oliver likes the baby very much. Isabella was stunned for 2 seconds and then let go of Oliver's ear. Then she gently patted my hand and said, well, I think you two are still young. There's no need to rush about the baby thing. I looked at Oliver with an embarrassed expression, asking for help. Oliver went forward and pulled his mother aside. Okay, Mom, don't worry unnecessarily. We're fine. And the baby is fine too. Now Isabella was really happy. She immediately placed an order for a lot of materials, saying that she would knit clothes for the baby herself. I didn't stop her enthusiasm either. Moreover, when I thought that the baby would grow up in such a loving family, I felt extremely lucky. Oliver sidled up to me and deliberately pointed at his ear to complain to me. Look, my ear is all red from being grabbed. You don't even feel sorry for me. Isabella shot him a fierce glare. Stop pretending. Ignoring his mother's disgust, Oliver held my hand and put it on his ear. Isabella was still watching on the side, which made me blush a little. Finally, Isabella really couldn't stand it anymore and went to stay in another place, ignoring us. But Oliver was really awful. After getting back home, he insisted that I should compensate him for the harm of having his ear pulled. I gritted my teeth and pushed him. On the verge of crying, didn't you say before that it didn't matter if I did nothing? Oliver pressed against my forehead, turning a deaf ear. I closed my eyes and let him do whatever he wanted. I'll apply the medicine for you. I immediately gave him a punch. It's all your fault. My leg is even scraped. Oliver started to act cute again. He looked at me with a wronged expression. But you're pregnant. I could only do this. I lifted my foot to kick him, but he caught it in his hand. He skillfully bowed his head to apologize. I'm wrong, baby Coo. I completely lost my temper. Maybe I can never get angry with Oliver. I scrolled through the appointment messages on my phone. Please accompany me to the hospital tomorrow. Oliver suddenly raised his head, looking vigilant. What are we going to the hospital for? I said as a matter of course. It's for the prenatal checkup. Aren't you going to accompany me? Oliver heaved a sigh of relief, capped the medicine bottle, and came to bed to hug me. I knew what he was on guard against and patted the back of his hand soothingly. What are you thinking? Go to sleep quickly. I met the same doctor as last time during this prenatal checkup. He cast a glance at Oliver beside me, with a bit of a smile on his face. Is your alpha not busy this time? I smiled sheepishly, and Oliver put his arm around my waist. The doctor didn't say much and gave me a form to go for the examination. Oliver went to the toilet halfway through, and I sat on the chair outside waiting for him. Suddenly, a man sprang out from beside me and grabbed my wrist. Xiaoku, it's you. Isn't it, Xiaoku? This man's hair was in a mess and he looked in a very poor complexion. My complexion changed instantly and a sense of physical discomfort hit me. Matthew, my biological father. He held my hand tightly, not allowing me to break free. It's me, Xiaoku. It's Dad. I frowned, trying to shake off his hand, but he was holding on so tightly that I didn't dare to move too much either, for fear of accidentally hurting the baby. But Matthew's pheromone, which smelled like rust, was pressing on me, making me feel nauseous. I again remembered the days when I was beaten by him and couldn't get up under the pressure of his pheromones. Matthew seemed a bit abnormal mentally, and his eyes were glazed. Xiaoku, Dad has no money left. Didn't you marry Oliver? He must have a lot of money. Give Dad some money. I held back the nausea, suppressed the urge to vomit, and pried his hand that was grabbing me open. Matthew didn't want to let me go. He was crying and laughing at the same time. Dad is sick. You are my son. You should pay for my treatment. I need money. I need money. Give me some money. The medical staff nearby noticed something was wrong. They walked over and stood between the two of us. Matthew didn't pay attention. He still wanted to grab me. My hand was grasped by Oliver, who had just returned one step ahead. He held me tightly in his arms. Matthew saw the antenatal examination form in Oliver's hand. Suddenly, he started laughing like crazy. You're pregnant? That's good. Then you'll never be separated. You can give me money for the rest of my life. I couldn't hold back a dry heave. Oliver's face immediately turned cold. He gently patted my back to help me catch my breath, and then turned to look at Matthew again. Matthew, I remember I made it very clear that after Benjamin entered the Shang family, he had nothing to do with you anymore. The money back then was enough for you to save your company. As for what you did with the money, we don't care, but you shouldn't have come to harass Benjamin. After saying that, Oliver called the police and ignored Matthew. When Matthew was being taken away, I suddenly smiled at him. You're pregnant, but you still couldn't keep Mom. Looking at Matthew's expression with wide open and bloodshot eyes, I felt a burst of exhilaration in my heart. Oliver hugged me tenderly with distress. The familiar minty pheromone soothed me. It's okay, I'm here. Originally, I thought I had already stopped caring about the past, but when I fell asleep at night, it was as if I had slipped and was drowning. I just couldn't wake up from the nightmare no matter what. I dreamed of the cold look in my mother's eyes when she looked at me, the slap my father gave, and the look of sizing up merchandise. I could hardly breathe. Baby? Oliver's voice rang in my ears. I suddenly opened my eyes wide. Seeing his face, my wildly beating heart gradually calmed down. Oliver didn't rush to speak. Instead, his hand gently patted my back again and again. I curled my lips and said, I don't blame Mom. Oliver didn't question this out of the blue statement either. He murmured in agreement with me. No matter what I said, he just responded without asking or refuting. He just quietly released the familiar pheromone to stabilize my emotions. Mom was forced to. He forced her, so she didn't like me. I don't blame her. I'm not sad either. I'm living a very good life now. I have you, parents who love me, and a child. I'm very happy. I was rambling on, saying a lot of things here and there. By the end of it, my mind went blank and all my emotions were gone. I just felt so comfortable in Oliver's arms. Sleepiness also began to sweep over me. There were no annoying things in this dream, only Oliver's gentle smiling face. The longer the pregnancy lasts, Mom and Dad are even more nervous than I am. Isabella has invited many professionals and can't wait to follow me around the clock. Even Father Shang, who is usually busy with official duties, has come to see me several times. Finally, it was Oliver who persuaded Isabella and the others not to worry and got all the people in the room to leave. Oliver behaved the most calmly, but occasionally when I woke up at night, what I saw were his bloodshot eyes. I touched his eyes with my fingertips. Why are you asleep yet? Oliver held my hand and put it to his lips, rubbing it affectionately. No, I'm about to fall asleep. I know he's worried about me. Every time I moved a little when I was sleepy, he would prop himself up to check on my situation. I narrowed my eyes. You know what? I feel extremely lucky to have met you. Oliver let out a soft sigh. Then I'm a bit regretful. It would have been great if I could have brought this luck to you earlier. It's not too late now either.